Hello, my internet friends. Trey Ratcliff here with the great and inspirational Anthony Bourdain. I know you guys have probably been very inspired by him like I have, and today we're going to talk about creativity and get in deep with some insightful questions. But first, let me tell you where we are. We are at the Great Cayman Cookout here on Grand Cayman Island at the Ritz-Carlton, and it's now moving into its first decade, and it's an incredible event.
And a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
I come every year.
Yeah, it's my first time. I'm really excited. I'm really honored to be here with you. So is it okay if I ask you some deep, insightful questions?
Go for it.
Okay. Well, you're known as being very open and vulnerable. And how does vulnerability help you be creative and come up with new ideas?
Well, I think being open to the world, having empathy for other human beings, the ability to put yourself in their shoes. It's fundamental to having an alternate or many alternate perspectives. Storytelling and looking at things in a creative way, I would think requires the ability to project, to imagine what it's like to be somebody else, to live in another circumstance than the one that you grew up in. So that's just fundamental first principles. Recognizing what you don't know, which is pretty much everything, always, is useful.
Right.
And being able to just climb out of your own ass. And look at the world, to feel things, good and bad.
Do you feel like
as things happen to you, those are all part of storytelling in an effective way.
As you get older, are you becoming more empathetic?
I think since becoming a father, of course, I think travel, I've seen a lot of things. I've seen how people live. I've seen how hard it is to do very simple things in much of the world, like just find clean water, right, food. How fragile life can be, how arbitrary events can be. I've seen really horrible things happen to good people all the time for no good reason at all.
Right.
Those impact you.
And as you start to connect with people and are more empathetic, are you starting to think that we're all inexorably tied together more than we think we are?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Large groups of people tied together by a unified thought or theory, this would be a bad thing too.
Yeah, that's true. Let me ask you about teaching and the importance of teaching others, especially younger people, with kind of a twist on it. I don't know much about the chef world except through your lens, but I know through the photography world, a lot of photographers hang on to their secrets, and they don't share a lot of stuff because they're afraid.
That's detestable. I have no understanding for that. I was a chef and a cook for many years. That's a mentoring profession, part of the old medieval guild system, the apprentice system, where the older, more experienced professional teaches everything they know, holding nothing back.
Right.
So that the tradition of the work can be carried on. I respect skills and techniques, but in cooking, certainly, those can be taught through repetition, and they usually are. I'd say it's the same. You can, operating a camera. You could teach anybody the skills, right, necessary to operate the thing in a functional and effective way, but to make those pictures sing and get the kind of response that you would like, to translate an emotion into them, that requires some, a character. So, I always say, I can teach skills, right, and techniques, but character, that's something you either have or you don't.
Right.
That's true. You have a heart, or you just a heartless bastard.
Right.
You feel that whether it's a photograph or a TV show or a book or breakfast.
I think a lot of people are afraid to share their techniques because they're worried they're creating their own competition.
If
you're
so weak,
yeah,
that you can't, that you think they're that close behind you,
right,
and that all I have to learn is a little technical trick, and they're going to be as good or the same as you,
right,
you better check yourself.
Right.
To us, when we make parts unknown, the people we're trying to beat, this is not a competitive thing. Right. The people we're trying to beat is what we did last week.
Yes.
We move on. I don't care what I do I would rather suck next week than do the same thing.
And it's a growing pie. It's not a zero-sum game. So you're actually creating more awesomeness out there rather than taking away
Look,
from
it's
others.
it's a selfish enterprise. I do it because I like it. It makes me happy. I don't want a pat on the head particularly. You're seldom rewarded for excellence,
Right.
or awesomeness. I want to try and do better. There's a Japanese term. I think it's shoshin for beginner's mind. Coming to work every day, no matter how experienced you are at a thing, and starting the day as a perpetual student, as someone who knows nothing, who's beginning this day. Now we start anew.
Right.
I like that.
Well, I want to know what gets you excited, because you have basically infinite resources. You get the best foods, you meet the most interesting people, you can go anywhere, anytime. Sometimes having too much resources is counterproductive to the creative process.
I've been very much inspired by the way Jack White says he sets up his instruments, or he did back in the White Stripes days. He would set up his drum kit and his equipment in a way that was a little uncomfortable. He forces and imposes certain restrictions,
right?
Which forces him to have to adapt and be creative to find solutions. A lot of times, there are a lot of rules on the show, basic rules for shooters. We never give the editors the coverage that editors always want. So we don't shoot walk-in scenes to establishing shots. We don't give them that so they can't get lazy and fall back on those tropes. We're always looking to find a new way to do, to tell a story. What excites me more than anything else, honestly, is beautiful cinematography that evokes feeling. And we're always looking for a way. I'm very inspired. A lot of the inspiration for the shows, and even the inspiration for subject and location, comes from me seeing a movie that I'm so thrilled by.
Right.
I saw it, I think, Chungking Express, while I walked far away.
Right.
And I just started calling around and said, my God, where do we have to go to do that?
Right.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, it's been inspirational. I'll see you around the island.
Thank you.
I'll take some photos of you, okay?
Sure thing.
I'll do my best, my humble best to pay an homage to the great Bourdain.
Please.
Yeah, anyway, thank you for always being so honest and open, and having these sideways thoughts that kind of mix up people and make them think and question everything. I think that's one of the most awesome things that you do.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro. All right, and I will be right back.
After the break.
There we go.
Hello, friends. Hello, internet friends.
Wow. So was that as nerve-wracking as it seemed? You seemed pretty calm.
I'm a Zen guy.
You were pretty zen, but what were you on the inside? You were more like a Cabernet guy on the inside.
No, it was perfectly cool. I knew he'd be a lovely guy. I've seen so much of his work, and I don't think he fakes it. He's very honest and cerebral, which I like. I like people that are. I like everybody, but especially these creatives that are very intellectual, and they really think about things, right? Especially from other perspectives. I mean, the thing is, people often really categorize others, right? Mm-hmm. Especially in the West, we really like to categorize people as doing a thing. Like they think Anthony Bourdain, oh, he's a chef, he makes food.
Right.
But I mean, that's 10% of what he does, especially as he gets older and more diverse. And I mean, obviously he loves movies as much as we do and everything. He's a lot of these people are, sort of a popular term, polymaths, in that they become experts in various disparate subjects which appear to have nothing to do with one another.
Right.
And this is something I've always talked about with photography. And then if you really want to improve with photography and do weird stuff, is to not study too much photography, but to get really into movies, books, literature, plays, whatever it is, because as you look at these things that apparently have nothing to do with photography, you come up with strange, interesting ideas. And obviously this has been a big influence in his life, and only just recently are people coming to understand this through his various television pursuits.
I loved what he had to say about being uncomfortable every day, that he would rather come into work and just do a terrible show than just keep repeating the same formula over and over again. I really like that, because that resonated with me about not falling into this groove of here's what I do.
Right. right? Which so many people do because they get comfortable.
Right.
I could have talked to him for a long time. He was obviously in no hurry to get out. We had no time limit with the guy, but I was
Right.
trying to keep it short and tight. But anyway, I had a few other questions I was going to ask him too.
Well, the interesting. Well, I was supposed to give you a count, like a 1 minute note. Like, okay, it's been 9 minutes. We only have 10 minutes here. But he was just going.
Yeah.
Right. We were
Like-
way past 10
No,
minutes,
and-
so I
and
was
like
like, I'm
his,
not going to interrupt you. So.
And like his PR marketing managing team, they gave us a thumbs up. They're like, this is
Right.
good.
We're done.
Because people ask him such stupid questions like, what's the best thing you ever put in your mouth? What's the worst thing you ever put in your mouth? Like,
Right.
these are like idiotic questions. Like, it's much more interesting to go. This is one reason I have. Whenever I talk to people, I meet new people. It doesn't matter if they're Anthony Bourdain or whoever, but I like going deep right away. This is. My wife hates it that I'm really bad at small talk. Like, we have a neighborhood barbecue. I'm unable to talk about, your lawn's looking great. Your lawn's looking.
I love your fingernails.
I
Where
don't
you
know
get
how
them
to
done
do
at?
small talk. I
Right.
just want to let's get in deep, bro. What's going on?
Did you notice how unbelievably awesome his tan was, though? I mean, I know
He
you
was
just
so
said
tan.
you said not to make small
Yeah.
talk. I'm
Yeah.
all about the small talk. His tan was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, but you're a fan of small talk in sort of a fun,
That's
humor-y
true.
kind of way.
I wish that we had been recording right before we went on. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what he was talking about. Do you know what he was talking? You probably do. He used a bunch of $10,000 words all in a row,
Yeah.
like 100 of them,
Yeah.
about people who I don't know who they are.
Oh, these are all great directors and cinematographers.
All right, they could have been philosophers or
Well, he was
poets,
talking-
priests, or politicians. I didn't know.
Well, before the show, we were talking about my photos and looking at the color palettes and the way I manipulate them and that kind of stuff. And then that got him off on the like, this is why you're setting everything up.
Right,
Okay. And that got him off on talking about his new show,
right.
where they shoot everything on anamorphic film.
What is anamorphic film?
It's an older style of film, which traditional Hollywood doesn't like for TV shows because they cannot put it on 4:3 ratio screens.
Right.
Anyway, this is what a lot of the great cinematographers
So it's got more of a
use.
panoramic
Yeah.
look to it. All right.
And you're able to cross-process it in a way, so that none of
Right.
the whites are whites and none of the blacks are black. So it gives it this sort of film look. If you've seen like Wes Anderson movies or Emily, these are some of the more popular ones. So he's gone for this very hardcore, cross-processed, almost filtered kind of look for his stuff, which is the antithesis of what most people are doing, which is extremely clear, crisp, literal stuff.
Right.
And so he started talking about his film influences and that sort of thing.
I thought that was interesting because he was talking about how in television people are not doing this, right? They're just throwing out some content, but they're not really worried about the quality of the cinematic quality of the actual production, and they were doing that. And he was really excited by that. And that's what kind of got him off on the whole topic of not just doing the same thing over and over again. He already has a successful formula, but he's moved on and he's trying something else now.
That's right.
And he was excited by that. So that was pretty interesting. I blacked out at one point from the words. I couldn't, my brain overloaded, and I don't know if you noticed, I fell over. And they had to revive me. And that,
And they put smelling salts under you.
I hope it didn't affect the broadcast in any way. But
So, Gino, what did you learn from all this, or over the past few days?
I'm going to tell you one thing. I learned something on this trip, and I actually learned it from Heidi, and Anthony just backed it up, that I would not have thought before, and it is this. In life,